Good morning. This is PJ. Today is Door County coffee from the gas station because my car needed gas. Anyway, today for our daily lectionary reading, it's a little bit different because it is Ash Wednesday. So we'll be reading the Ash Wednesday text instead of the daily lectionary text because that is what they give us. However, we do have two options for the first reading, so I'm going to do the second option because you'll hear the first option in church today. So the first reading will come from Isaiah chapter 58, verses 1 through 12. Shout out, do not hold back. Lift up your voice like a trumpet. Announce to my people their rebellion, to the house of Jacob their sins. Yet, day after day, they seek me and delight to know my ways, as if they were a nation that practiced righteousness and did not forsake the ordinances of their God. They ask of me righteous judgment. They delight to draw near to God. Why do we fast, but you do not see? Why humble ourselves, but you do not notice? Look, you serve your own interests on your fast day, and oppress all your workers. Look, you fast only to quarrel and to fight and to strike with a wicked fist. Such fasting as you do today will not make your voice heard on high. Is such the fast that I choose, a day to humble oneself? Is it to bow down the head like a bulrush, and to lie in sackcloth and ashes? Will you call this a fast, a day acceptable to the Lord? Is not the fast that I choose to loose the bonds of injustice, to undo the things of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and bring the homeless poor into your house when you see the naked, to cover them, and not to hide yourself from your own kin? Then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up quickly. Your vindicator shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your real guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall call for help, and he will say, Here I am. If you remove the yoke from among you, the pointing of the finger and the speaking of the evil, if you offer your food to the hungry and satisfy the need of the afflicted, then your light shall rise in the darkness, and your gloom be like noonday. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your need in parched places, and make your bones strong. And you shall be like a watering garden, like a spring of water, whose waters never fail. Your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt, and you shall raise up the foundations of the generations. You shall be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of the streets to live in. Here ends the first reading. Our psalm reading today comes from the book of Psalm 51, verses 1 through 17. And excuse me while I take just a small drink. Have mercy on me, O God, according to your steadfast love. According to your abundant mercy, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. I know my transgression, and my sin is ever before me. Against you, you alone, have I sinned, and done what is evil in your sight, so that you are justified in your sentence and blameless when you pass judgment. Indeed, I was born guilty, a sinner when my mother conceived me. Your desire truth in my inward being, therefore teach me wisdom in my secret heart. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Let me hear your joy and gladness. Let the bones that you have crushed rejoice. Hide your face from the sins and blot out all my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and put a new and right spirit within me. Do not cast me away from your presence, and do not take your Holy Spirit from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation, and sustain in me a willing spirit. Then I will transgress in your ways, and sinners will return to you. Deliver me from bloodshed, O God. O God of my salvation, and my tongue will sing aloud of your deliverance. O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth will declare your praise. For you have no delight in sacrifice. If I were to give a burnt offering, you would not be pleased. The sacrifice acceptable to God is a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O God, you will not despise. Our New Testament reading, or our second reading, I guess, for today, is 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 20. And it goes to chapter 6, verse 10. We entreat you on behalf of Christ to be reconciled to God. For our sake he made him to be sin, who knew no sin, so that in him he might become the righteousness of God. As we work together with him, we urge you also not to accept the grace of God in vain. For he says, at an acceptable time I have listened to you, and on the day of salvation I have helped you. See, now is the acceptable time. See, now is the day of salvation. We are putting no obstacle in anyone's way, so that no fault will be found in our ministry. But as servants of God, we have commended ourselves in every way, through great endurance and affliction, hardship, and calamities, beatings, imprisonments, riots, labors, sleepless night, and hunger. By purity, knowledge, patience, kindness, holiness of spirit, genuine love, truthful speech in the power of God, with the weapons of righteousness for the right hand and for the left, and honor and dishonor, and ill repute and good repute. We are treated as impostors, and yet are true, as unknown, and yet as we are all well known, as dying, and as we are alive, as punished, and yet not killed, as sorrowful, yet always rejoicing, as poor, yet making many rich, as having nothing, and yet possessing everything. Our gospel reading for the day comes from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verses 1 through 6, and then we jump over to verses 16 through 21. Beware of practicing your piety before others, in order to be seen by them, for then you have no reward from your Father in heaven. So whenever you give alms, do not sound the trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, so that they may be praised by others. Truly, I tell you that they have received their reward. But when you give alms, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your alms may be done in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And whenever you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and at the street corners, so that they may be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But whenever you pray, go into your room, shut the door, and pray to your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And whenever you fast, do not look dismal like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces so as to show others that they are fasting. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that your fasting may not be seen by others, but by your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust consume, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust consumes, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Here ends our readings for the day. Hope to see you at church tonight. Peace.